we want to turn now to Dan Senor, political strategist, former senior advisor to Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan during the 2012 presidential campaign. And so, Dan, here we are, 2 days from President Donald Trump. And this last week, then, what has really stood out to you?
Two things. One, I continue to be impressed with the cabinet he's assembling. Mm-hmm. So you look at Jim Mattis, Rex Tillerson, Mike Pompeo, John Kelly, Mike Pence. I mean, it is a serious team at the top level. I'm concerned about the slow pace of them staffing up at the sub-cabinet level. So I worry that, for weeks we've been saying, oh, he's got time. On Friday, he becomes president of the United States, and he needs a team in place, and he's not going to have a team in place. So the permanent bureaucracy is really, they're going to have to rely on the permanent bureaucracy to run things, and that makes it hard to get his agenda implemented because the permanent bureaucracy is not going to have the priorities that Donald Trump has.
What do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to, one, the Trump team not expecting to win. Mm-hmm. If they expected to win, they would have been building a machine long before the election. Two, I think he's a divisive figure. Yeah. Now, that's served him in many cases, but he's a divisive figure, and that means that they've had a hard time attracting talent. They want to keep out a lot of folks who they could recruit, so they're being very selective about who they bring in. And I think people are being very self-selective about who wants to serve. I think and they didn't expect to win, so some of it's not their fault. Bottom line is it's taking a long time, and I worry that that'll create some obstacles. The other thing is these polling numbers, right? So these polling numbers show that he's got record low approval numbers for an incoming president. Now, on the one hand, one would say that's a huge problem, and better to have high approval ratings than low approval ratings on the one hand. On the other hand, he has structural advantages that most incoming presidents don't have.
Congressional majorities trump approval at this point.
Exactly. Plus, he has got a lot of support, or could have a lot of support from congressional Democrats if he pivots to issues they care about, like fiscal stimulus, Keynesian fiscal stimulus, like infrastructure spending. I mean, there are certain issues that he could turn to pretty quickly and create real divisions among Democrats and get a bunch of them to come on board. They won't be with him on everything, but he could get them on some things. So he's got intensity of support among his congressional majorities, which give him a lot of cover, and he can quickly pivot to the Democrats if he needs to.
We have also, though, heard, nevertheless, that the Affordable Care Act will be priority one on a docket. And he has said already that he believes in a system that would provide insurance for everybody, before backtracking from that in the last 24 hours. But certainly his stated positions here have to be confounding certain GOP lawmakers, such as Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House. What does he risk if he continues to push for essentially simultaneous, his words, repeal and replace?
Chaos. That's the risk. The risk is he campaigned with a sort of chaotic style, which served him quite well. Governing is a whole different ballgame. He's very dependent on Congress going through its legislative process to get things done, which requires very delicate sequencing. And there's only so much Congress can get accomplished in a given time frame. There's committee processes, there's reconciliation, all these very technical terms we're all going to be learning a lot about. The stuff gets very complicated. He wants to do the following in the next year. He wants to repeal and replace Obamacare. He wants to get a massive comprehensive tax reform bill done. He wants to get a U.S. Supreme Court justice confirmed. He maybe wants to do, an infrastructure spending bill. Each one of these things suck up an enormous amount of oxygen from the process and from the system. So you can't just pop off. I mean, the chaos makes this is hard enough as it is. Even when you have leaders as experienced as McConnell and Ryan, who know exactly what they're doing, trying to plot this out, it's still complicated. It's still ambitious.
So forget the first 100 days. We're talking about the first 365 and a quarter days, and it probably doesn't help when he's fighting multi-front battles with the intelligence community, with a civil rights icon, Congressman John Lewis, et cetera. Do you see that going away anytime soon?
No. Look, it took Barack Obama's signature first-term legislative accomplishment, Obamacare. Ronald Reagan's, most important first-year accomplishment, tax reform. Both these things took over a year to get done, and they weren't fighting these brush fires. Trump's got to just ramp down the brush fires.
As always, appreciate the insight. Look forward to you joining CBS News as well for all the festivities come Friday.
Looking forward to it. Thanks. See you. Bye.